How we doing, Bruins fans? Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. We're here on the Fans First Sports Network, bringing you all of the daily content for UCLA Bruins athletics. Today is going to be a little bit more of a basketball podcast. We're going to break down, kind of clean up the end of that Bruins game against Lehigh, and then we're going to look at a few key breakout players that have started the year on the right foot. You can follow myself, Tom Cavanaugh, at TCav30 on Twitter/X. You can go over to Facebook and Twitter, follow our insider page at UCLA Insider on SI, and then type in the search bar UCLA Bruins Sports Illustrated, and you'll find our page with all of our dozens of daily posts from all of our great writers. So to kick things off, we're going to just kind of talk about a few of the key guys once again for the UCLA Bruins in their 85-45 win over Lehigh. Bruins improved to 3-1. And I mean, there's usual suspects on this list, and this is kind of going to lead us into our next point on some breakout players. But Eric Daly Jr., the sophomore transfer from Oklahoma State, he once again came up with a big double-digit point game, 17 points, 10 rebounds. He had his first double-double. Tyler Bilodeau, he had himself 5 total rebounds, 15 points. He has scored in double figures in every single game this season. Sebastian Mack, his second straight game in double figures. He scored 10 points with 3 rebounds. Those guys have really shined. Adai Mara, the 7'3" sophomore center, he had 16 points with 6 rebounds, 3 of those on the offensive glass, so he was dominating in the paint. The Bruins are going to need someone like him to be able to battle against other strong bigs in the Big Ten Conference. You look back to a guy like Zach Edey last year with the Purdue Boilermakers. That's the type of caliber of player that you're going to see in the Big Ten. So if Adai can match that and be able to stay physical while controlling the ball and putting it in the hoop, Bruins got a good big man down low. They got several key guards, Daly and Bilodeau, both forwards, but Kobe Johnson, Lazar Stefanovic, Sky Clark, all those guys playing pivotal roles as well. And the scoring was distributed once again. I know we talked about the improvements that this team has made over the last couple of games, but they're picking each other up. That's kind of the biggest point when looking at this game and looking at the Boston game last week as well. A team that, doesn't rely on one player to go out there and score 25, 30 points and help them win the ball game. If that player is having an off night, another guy's going to come in and step up and have a big game like Eric Daly. So, for example, Lazar Stefanovic, he had 13 points, tied for the team lead with Daly last week against Boston. He only had 2 points in the game. So everybody really picked him up. Obviously, Stefanovic only shot the ball 4 times, but still, having other guys that can complement each other throughout a season is what makes good basketball programs in college. So you can't rely on just Bilodeau or Daly to go out there and give you 20, 25. Now, it would be nice if they did so, but at the same time, you need some complementary basketball where the scoring is being shared, and on any given night, anybody can pop off and have a great game. I am down a few of these breakout players. I know we just mentioned a good majority of the team, but we got to talk about the one man that is putting in the points and grabbing the rebounds, leading the team in both categories. It's Oregon State transfer junior forward Tyler Bilodeau, averaging 15.5 points currently, also 7.2 rebounds per game. I mean, he's been all over the floor. Tyler obviously plays more than anybody else. He is probably the top scorer that we've seen so far. I know in past post-game press conferences, Mick Cronin said that Sky Clark is one of the best shooters. Dominic Harris, the senior, is the best shooter that he has coached over his time. But when it comes to just a true score in and around the rim, grabbing offensive rebounds for putbacks, being able to hit the outside shot, it's Tyler Bilodeau. And he's going to make some noise in the conference this year as well. You're going to see some of those talking heads kind of bringing Bilodeau to the forefront and say, hey, watch out for Mick Cronin's group. They're led by this guy, Tyler Bilodeau. He's coming over from Oregon State, and he is a menace. And he has been so far this season. He's averaging just over 25 minutes a game through 4 contests, 1.5 steals, as we mentioned, 7.2 boards. His field goal percentage is just under 50, 70% from the free throw line. So when the Bruins are winning, Tyler Bilodeau is playing well. And he's going to be a big key. We just said he doesn't need to go off for 25 every game, but if he's able to kind of sit around his average, 13, 16 points, maybe tickles close to 20, That's great from him to stay consistent and be able to do that while also grabbing 7-8 rebounds a game, because him, Adai Mara, and then you also have Eric Daly Jr. and William Kyle III. Those guys need to dominate in the paint, especially when they get to the conference play where it's heightened physicality down low. Your assist leader and steal leader is senior transfer from in-state rival USC in Kobe Johnson. Kobe's been a great guard this year. He has had a fair amount of turnovers in the early going of the season, but other than that, I mean, he's been very good at facilitating the basketball. He's only averaging 7.3 points, which is good for fifth best on the team, but 6 rebounds, 4 assists, just under 2.5 steals a game. He is a very all-around player that has kind of taken this team, taken the reins of this team is what I wanted to say. And I know you got Bill Little there doing the scoring, Daly Jr. as well. Sebastian Mack's going to run the offense. But when you talk about a leader, a captain, a guy that's going to just do everything possible to win the ball game, that's Kobe Johnson. And he helps out and chips in a myriad of different ways. He might not be topping the stat sheet here for the Bruins currently through 4 games, but when you look at what he's doing in different categories producing, I mean, he is averaging 2.5, just under 2.5 turnovers a game, but same number for that steal, 2.3 steals, 4 assists, 6 rebounds. He continues to do that and affect the game in multiple ways. The Bruins are going to continue to win ball games as well. One final stud we're going to talk about here is junior forward William Kyle III, leading the team in blocks at 1.5 per game. William Kyle, the only guy on this Bruins team that has any postseason March Madness experience after he went with South Dakota State last year. They unfortunately lost in the first round to Iowa State. But South Dakota State, I mean, that is one heck of a program out there in the Summit. Great team. Kyle had a ton of experience there playing, averaged a ton of minutes in his first 2 seasons, and now he comes to a big program in UCLA, and he's not skipping a beat. Currently averaging just under 4.5 points, only 13 minutes, so he's not getting on the floor as much, but as the season progresses, I see his role beginning to expand and also his minutes starting to tick up a little bit as well. He's also averaging 4.3 rebounds. We talked about the 1.5 blocks. That leads the way. Adai Mara, he's on that block list as well with 1 a game. And then a couple other guys chipping in. Sky Clark, Trent Berry actually able to get in there. Sky Clark, 0.3 blocks per game. So I mean, he's playing good defense, so you can tell from that, just getting a hand on a shot. But Kyle, we mentioned him earlier, being able to really command the paint along with Adai, along with Daly Jr., who is technically listed as a guard, but he plays a lot of forward as well. Very big physical guy that likes to take it to the rim and defend down low as well. So all 3 of those guys going to be pivotal to this team's success, because we saw from the Lehigh game, this team only took 13 3-pointers. They made just 3 of them. All of the rest of their shots came from inside the key. They were all over the paint. They were trying to score right around the rim. They did a great job of it against a team that was much smaller than they were. So being able to kind of continue that and keep that going against the bigger teams, against the better teams when they play Arizona, North Carolina, and Gonzaga in a few weeks. They're going to need to kind of replicate what they did in the last couple of games against lesser opponents, stay physical down low, keep the turnovers low, which has continued to drop down as the games progress, and they're going to be just fine. Hopefully, being able to knock off one of those nationally ranked teams and sneak back into the top 25, which they lost in their upset loss to New Mexico last week. So Bruins, they're going to be taking on Idaho State on Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday night, I should say. It's an 11 p.m. tip Eastern time. That's 8 p.m. Pacific. And we'll get to see this Bruins program one more time in action. See guys like Bilodeau, Kobe Johnson, William Kyle III, Adai Mara, and Eric Daly Jr. Thanks so much, everybody. We will see you again next time on the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast.